I lost $500,000 trying to do a magic show in Missouri. I wasn't able to focus on my strength. I created a concept on the way I would film these paintings, and it worked. Hey, that Muhammad Ali painting did, 50 million views? Let me try it again with Michael Jordan. That one did 100 million views. Last month, I was the #2 YouTube individual creator in views underneath Mr. Beast. That's totally wild because nobody knows who I am.
Before we dive in, I want to extend a warm invitation to join our thriving Foundr community. It's the perfect place to discover more insightful interviews aimed at helping you build, grow, and scale your business. So don't forget to hit subscribe. Your support means the absolute world to us. Thank you so much for subscribing. Let's get stuck into today's discussion.
Hear the stories, learn the proven methods, and accelerate your growth and future through entrepreneurship. Welcome to the Foundr Podcast with Nathan Chan.
Welcome to the show, Justin. The first question that I ask everyone that comes on is, how did you get your job? AKA, how did you find yourself doing the work you're doing today?
I grew up in a magic family. So my dad was a magician. My uncle was a magician. So from the age of 2, I was doing magic tricks on stage for the local magic club, and then eventually did county fairs and things like that. And I just never wanted to get a real job. So straight out of high school, started doing a magic show in a little theater that I built, and then eventually was traveling around and getting to do a big arena tour with country music artists out of Nashville, and then put it on the internet, where that was where the most eyeballs were. There was no way to ever accomplish what I really wanted to do just performing live. The internet became the main thing. So that's the way you get in.
Yeah, I see. And so you're the most viewed magician on the internet. That's kind of what our we've got from our research. You've had over 30 billion views on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and everything really changed for you because you used to focus on the TV world, and then everything changed for you when you started to kind of move to creating content on social media in 2020. And obviously you were forced to because of the pandemic. And talk us through talk us through the business, how it all works. I'm really curious.
I am not an artist, although I play one on the internet. I'm not a magician, although I do magic tricks. I took that ego out back and I shot him back in 2020. And I said, no more of what I want to do. I started to be a data analyst. And it sounds boring, where suddenly you're making all of your decisions based off of numbers, but it's actually quite exciting because suddenly you have incredible freedom and you don't have to lock yourself in to what you told yourself that you were going to do when you were 12 years old. Now suddenly you can go, all right, where the wind is blowing, I'm going to get to play in all of these new playgrounds and try things out. And you're going to unlock brand new potential that you didn't know you had. And that's what happened to me in 2020. I was performing live all around the world. And the market told me that I was a very successful magician because I was making a good living doing it, working all the time. But pandemic hits, the calendar clears, and you're like, what am I going to do? So I made a commitment to myself, and I said, look, I could take time off right now. I could take a break and not do anything because the whole world is doing that. Or I could take this moment as an opportunity and let me try and upload a video every single day with this new mentality of data analysis rather than what I want to do. And by the end of, so the 6-figure check for a month came in just 3 months later. And it was like, whoa, okay, that's something. And then the 100 million hit videos came very quickly there as well. So suddenly I'm seeing more success than I've ever seen trying to do my own thing and be the ego behind it and watch what I can do. And instead going, hey guys, look at this fun puzzle you can do, or look at this fun way that you can try this at home. and really start thinking about a viewer-centric mentality. How do I do that? Once we saw the success in that, the challenge was, okay, how do we grow this? Because I'm only one guy and I can't be on camera 24 hours a day, but there seems to be an incredible opportunity here. What do we do next? So that was the big shift in mindset, was kill the ego and say, what are the viewers watching and can I do that?
You said in the first 3 months you got serious traction. You got a 6-figure check, you know, like some videos that really popped off, tens of millions of views. Like, talk us through that. Like, what did you do? How did that work?
So it all is about the opening shot. So there's two kinds of social media feeds. You have destination content. This is Dude Perfect. They're going to do landscape, beautiful videos, full length on YouTube. And if you like Dude Perfect, you're going to find it. You're going to search it out. When it pops up on your home feed, you're going to click it and watch it. Nobody has ever watched a Justin Flom video by choice. It's never happened. I am a swipe feed algorithm guy, and I'm humble enough to realize that, which means the only way people are watching my stuff is they swipe up, and there's a very interesting opening shot, and you're curious. I introduce some little bit of mystery. What am I doing? And then I take the viewer on that journey, and at the end of the video, they get the payoff. That's the reward for watching the whole thing. And that watch time is what puts you at the top of a swipe feed algorithm. So that's TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Facebook. And Facebook is really where I saw all of my early success. So there was a fun thing. We were seeing on TikTok a whole bunch of bar bets. This was an old showbiz thing, which are kind of like little puzzles, I bet you I can do this thing. And they were going crazy on TikTok. Well, as a magician, I'm so lucky because I have access to a library full of 100-year-old bar bets that have never seen TikTok. So all these TikTokers, they're all, taking the bits from each other, and they're becoming trends. And I was able to bring a couple brand new trends into TikTok from these 100-year-old magic books. It just took reframing for today's audience. So one of the bar bets we did, you used to just do on a table and you'd say, hey, you can't lift up your ring finger if you put your middle finger this way. It was a silly thing. And I thought, if we bring that into something that people care about, like a wife and a credit card, and we make it about that's the challenge that you can win. If you beat this bar bet, you get my credit card to get whatever you want. And instead of doing it on a table where you can just press down and do this bar bet, I should explain what it is, but we wrapped her fingers in duct tape. That's the key that you need to know. That was the opening shot. And it's so interesting. Why is this man wrapping some girl's fingers in duct tape? And that was our first big 100 million hit video. And it was just an old, silly game. But that kind of reframed everything. Okay, now I see everything's about the opening shot. And now we've taken it way more extreme to I'm chainsawing through doors or my banister in the balcony. And because the opening is so engaging and they're so curious to see what it is at the end, that's how I'm getting these 300 million views on how to get downstairs the fastest, which is an auto belay I put just upstairs after I chainsawed through my railing upstairs. It's crazy.
Yeah, interesting. So tell me, when it came to kind of approaching this, when you first started, did you have any help?
Yeah, there's a great community of creators here in Las Vegas. And so about 10 years ago, me and my best friend, we sold a TV show to NBC called Wizard Wars. So the concept of this TV show was kind of cool. It was taking ordinary objects and making them into magic tricks. In the same way on like Chopped or Iron Chef, they would give these chefs random ingredients and say, here's your random ingredients, make a meal. So we wanted to do that, but for magic. And it ended up selling and going on Sci-Fi, and we had Penn and Teller as celebrity judges. And it was amazing. We sold our first TV show straight out the gate, and then our next 20 shows we pitched, we couldn't sell. So we just decided to go on to the internet. That was my buddy, Rick Lax. Now, Rick was also one of the most viewed people on the internet. Back in 2015, he would do these interactive magic tricks. And what was so engaging about these is he'd say, I'm going to read your mind through the screen. And he was all over everybody's Facebook feed about 10 years ago. And what he did is he was the real one to turn me on to the data side of things and watch time and shares and likes, and how that was the real reason that content was going viral, not whether or not people thought that they liked it, because people don't really know what they like. It's one of the weaknesses of focus grouping for television. Is on television, they sit you in a room, they give you a free sandwich, and they say, what did you think of this episode we just showed you? You're not going to get the best data out of that. So he started this company called Network Media, and he started teaching it to these creators here in Las Vegas. So there was like 20 of us, and then all of a sudden 40 of us. And now he's just sold that company to another social media company named Jelly Smack. But it allowed me to grow underneath all of that and build my own team and use that knowledge to take it not just to Facebook, where he was focused, but also to YouTube and Snapchat and TikTok and all these other things. So that was the wise counsel and help, was from him as a best friend, business partner, boss. It is great.
What platform did you start on? And like, I'm trying to kind of get an understanding for our audience that want to, sell any of their products or services, how they can get attention. Like what can we learn from you? Like, what platform did you start with?
I started with Facebook so there's kind of two ways to grow an audience. Now, if you want to do YouTube and the long form side of that, the money is incredible over there, but it seems to be a mountain that is the hardest to climb, because the viewers need to so genuinely care about you and about the content that you're putting out, just because they trust you, the creator, as opposed to a swipe feed algorithm like Facebook, TikTok, or YouTube Shorts, where you're not actually building a loyal fan base. Every time you post a piece of content, it kind of starts at zero. I have 20 million followers over on Facebook, but if I post a stinker, it'll get 20,000 views. And that's because every time you post, you're getting a brand new shot at a brand new random bunch of viewers. And if you can get a high watch time out of them, then you'll appear to the top of the feed, not just of your followers, but of the whole platform. So the amazing thing is, I'll look at the data of a 100 million hit video, and I'll see that only 3% of my fans or the people that saw that video. Now, how is that possible? I've got 20 million followers, and Facebook only showed a crazy viral hit to 3% of them. It's wild. But what the platforms are doing now, separate from what YouTube does for their traditional sense, is they just look at the content and they say, who would like this? Whether or not they follow you, who would like this? And they give it to them. So if you want to build a following for yourself, I think the easiest way to do it is to hit any swipe feed that you can and create content that will rise to the top of that. And that just comes from thinking very differently about the content, realizing people don't care about anyone but themselves. Here's a good example. We all know the phrase barrier to entry, right? Barrier to entry, very common phrase, but I coined something in 2020, which is barrier to exit. What is the barrier to exit? Well, if you're at a movie theater, it's got to be a pretty bad movie for you to exit that theater. Why? Well, there's the social pressure of sitting in the theater. There's other people around. You parked your car. You got a babysitter. You paid for a ticket. A lot of things have put you in that seat as a high barrier for you to leave. So that movie has to suck for you to cross that barrier and exit. But what is the barrier to exit on a TikTok video? It is 1 inch 1 inch of a swipe and you're gone. And not only that, you're highly motivated to make that swipe because the entire knowledge of human history is 1 swipe away from watching whatever that piece of content is. So the reason I shot my ego a couple of years ago was I had to realize these people, the viewers, don't know me and they don't love me yet. So they are just itching to go to the next thing unless I'm serving them. So the most important thing for me is to tell the viewer, here's why you should watch this. And that's why magic tricks actually weren't the reason for my success on social media, because at the end of a magic trick, your life isn't any different. And I'm not even going to tell you how I did the trick if I'm a traditional magician. So you realize that when you swipe up and you start seeing this magic thing and you go, all right, well, this isn't going to change my life and I'm not going to be able to utilize this in my life. Whoop, and you exit. So that barrier to exit is something to think about as you're building whatever you want to sell or whatever you want to get in front of people. You have to think, how can I make this content the most engaging to make somebody finish that content?
Yeah, okay. And you talk about shocking, right? Like, and you see people like people do create a hook or something that gets your attention. How do you recommend people do that? Like, what do you see as like shocking, shareable content? Like, how what's the process? How do people come up with that?
Yeah, I like telling people, I say, look at your feed. How are you ingesting content? Because as critical as you are of others, that's how critical others will be of you. So really start to make note of when you swipe away on someone's content and start to make note of what's making you stop. And I've made real notes and just picked up, oh man, that opening shot is so cool. So here's what I did. Now what I do to create content, I think about my favorite movies and the stunts or the gags that I want to recreate in my house. So we just built a trap door upstairs. So I had 2 closets on top of each other, and I cleared out the closets. I filled the bottom closet with 7 feet of foam, made a giant foam pit. I ripped out the floor in the one upstairs, put in 2 hinging little doors, and I built an actual working trap door. And I get on top of it, test it out, try the button, and I fall right through the floor. Now we realized something though. In the first times that we posted this video, people don't know that that they're going to get this really cool visual of a guy falling through a trap door, something that is worth waiting for. So very quickly we realized the opening shot has to be the trap door opening first. Now we can't pay off that video. We can't show a person falling through that trap door first, because that's enough of a dopamine hit that the brain triggers, oh, dopamine hit, time to swipe. Because that's what we're doing as we're scrolling through social media. We hit dopamine, we swipe. In fact, you don't want to hit somebody with too much dopamine mid-video, because they'll actually swipe away mid-video because they got enough of a payoff for their investment of watching. And I saw this where if I put a little magic trick in the middle of a video on the way to the end, which is maybe a home renovation thing or an arts and crafts thing, people would leave after the magic trick because they got their investment. They got it. So it can seem like you're trying to serve your audience by giving them more things in the video, but actually they're trained to leave after that. So we build the trap door. We learn you have to open with the trap door opening, and that tells people, oh, wow, okay, there it is. And then immediately we stand somebody on top of it. And now the viewer is hooked. Now they want to see the thing that they've just been, now they understand. And even worse, they will hang out for a longer time than they should. And it kind of compounds into this sunk cost. What I mean is they've been watching it for 35 seconds. You can now put in your message of what you want to sell at the end, because they've invested 45 seconds. They're not swiping away now. They're like, well, we've all been there. I've already been watching this long. Okay, and then I want to see it. So you don't want to take advantage of it so much that the audience feels dirty at the end of it. You really have to toe that line to be able to surf that algorithm, because this is the platforms making that decision for us. And it's as old as time. Ryan Seacrest doing American Idol, he says, the winner of American Idol coming up after the break, and really the truth is, of course, they could tell you the winner episode 1. They know, hey, it's Carrie Underwood. And they kind of did. They're like, she's probably the winner. But you got to go through the whole journey, because that's what entertainment is. And that final episode between, Clay Aiken and Carrie Underwood or whoever it was, they're going to get 2 hours out of it, even though they already know the results. And that's our job as entertainers, or for me, as somebody who makes money from the in-stream ads of all these platforms. I'm selling advertisement. I'm giving a hook that is good enough to merit watching an ad in the middle of it. So I'm almost more than an entertainer. I'm an ad guy who is making Super Bowl ads, like the old Budweiser commercials, where we got to make the commercial as funny as possible, just so that we can put a brand name at the end of it. That's what we're doing, but we're putting the commercial in the middle.
Yeah, love it. Very, very cool. And that all makes sense. And even if I think from my own experiences of like successful content that we've created at Foundr, or even ads, like ad creative, like when I was thinking of you and the way that you talk structurally and strategically, when somebody's running Facebook ads or YouTube ads on these feeds, right? Or through these scrolls, that's what it's about. It's like hooking someone's attention, then wanting them to watch to the end. From a creative standpoint, it could be organic content.
Because then the ad gets cheaper.
Yeah, 100%.
You want the ad to be the most cost effective to be able to go out. So if you can get the ad to go viral, suddenly now it's not even costing you money.
Agree. So do you create ads for companies that they run on paid?
So we've just started doing some brand deals. We're filming this week, actually, for the brand new movie Madam Web that Sony's doing. So one of the things I found that I was good at through just exploring lots of different things on social media was spray paint art. It's very strange, but over the last year or two, I've been the most viewed spray paint artist in the world. I can't believe it. I'm not an artist, but what I did find was a way to film artwork in a really engaging way that, it'd be really hard if you were just painting for a viewer to watch a time lapse of all of that. Because at a certain point, the viewer would go, all right, I got it. I can kind of see what the end is, and then they leave. But the truth is, with these layered stencils that I'm doing, one thing is I'm adding mystery at the beginning by smashing a hole in the wall and then starting to paint around it. So the video might be called How to Fix a Hole in the Wall. And in the end, you're going to see Tom and Jerry, the cat and mouse, and the cat is about to smash the mouse with a hammer, and the mouse is running out of the hole. So I don't fix the hole at all. In fact, I just highlight it. So that sort of thing, not only is the idea engaging, I got a very good compliment from one of Mr. Beast's team. He said it was the greatest YouTube short ever made. And he actually, for his team there with Mr. Beast, they diagrammed out and scripted out exactly what I was doing second by second. And these guys are smart. They had my number exactly. They called me an NPC, which is 100% correct. I don't want my name or ego getting in the way of the feed at all. Now, this is where I might differ from some of your listeners, because they want their brand to be pushed, right? Whereas me, I'm making all of my money as the views. The views are my metric for currency. And if I were to interrupt any of my concepts with, hey, I'm Justin Flom, by the way, I do this for fun, and subscribe to my that would actually kill the watch time and shorten the views. So because I don't see a reason for my brand to be furthered or my name recognition to be furthered, that's how suddenly I'm at. So last month I was the #2 YouTube individual creator in views underneath Mr. Beast. That's totally wild because nobody knows who I am. Everyone knows the name Mr. Beast. Nobody knows my name. I'm humble enough to understand that, but also I'm getting 1 billion views a month. It's absolutely wild. What's happening? Well, I'm leaving aside all of my name recognition and only wanting the video to go. And that's going to be the challenge, is to balance. If you're a founder and you're trying to grow your brand, how do you get your brand name out there without sacrificing the reach that a video can get? Because all I'm concerned with is reach. I'm not worried about brand. But you have a founder has a harder job because they want that reach, and also they need that brand because their money is coming from their company, not from the platforms.
Yeah. So they want the click. They want the click.
Right.
They want the CTA, right? They want that person to do something next. For you, your whole purpose is to keep them watching. And Mr. Beast is actually quite the same. He just wants you to keep watching, right? He just optimizes. So everything you do, you're optimizing for watch time. And that would make sense. Like, let's just say we wanted to work on, like, you know, what goes through my mind is like, how could I get this guy to create an ad for us for our Facebook, right? Like, you create the craziest ad talking about, you know, our membership product, Foundr Plus, which really helps people start or grow their business. And it's a whole education platform where we've got tons of different courses and lessons and instructors and really helping people start and grow their business. And it's just like, okay, I want to create an ad. I want you to create that ad, but you would know how to get that person's attention. You would know how to keep it, but then how do we get them to click to the point where we're kind of selling them on the process? Because you can definitely hook them, but how can you keep them watching, engaging, talking about the product, the benefits, why people should care, how it works, proof.
Here's a good example. You just made me think of this. My business partner, he had a job of selling magic tricks. So he was working for a company called Penguin Magic, and his job was to just get these new magic tricks, these little downloads or little gimmicks that you could get in the mail, get them in front of as many magicians as possible. And what he said is, I'm going to get them in front of not just magicians, I'm going to make them go in front of the entire world, and by default, they will also appear in front of more magicians by that. So he casted an even wider net to get it. Now, that was at a time during the algorithm feeds when that was a little bit more possible. But as the algorithm has gotten better at pinpointing exactly what the viewer wants to watch, and our news feeds now are so specific to us, sometimes it's shocking when you swipe up and you're like, man, this person is speaking right to me. The algorithms know you. So what you want to do if you're a founder or if you have your own brand, you don't actually want to cast such a wide net that you hit everyone, because then the watch time will be killed by people. As soon as you start talking about the membership program, they go, well, this isn't for me. So in that case, you wouldn't want a chainsaw coming through the wall as your opening shot, because that's going to cast such a wide net. You're going to be engaging 100 million people, 90% of which will leave as soon as you start talking about the core product, which is only interesting to the customer that you want. So what you have to do then, and you do a really good job at this, I've seen, is you want to find that headline, that sentence, that need that hooks only the customer. So you can look at my content as a good example of how to cast a wide net to make people watch, and absolutely use that formula of capture attention, do not pay off until the end, and then as soon as you've paid off, get the hell out of here. End that video right away so the watch time percentage is the highest. A good example for watch time percentage, just so this will illustrate how the algorithm works. My number one most viewed YouTube short is at 1.2 billion views. So it's a billion viewed short, and the watch percent on it is 130%. Now, what does that mean? It's a 17-second video, but at 130%, that means most people watched it twice. And for that reason, it still goes. It gets 100 million views every couple months. It's still making money, but that I created. So here's what the video was, just so I can give full context. We've seen in fashion shows out in New York these amazing dresses where the model will be walking down the runway and then she'll pull something and all of a sudden the dress will suddenly change colors. It's like a cool magic trick. Well, it is. It's a magic trick that's been around for 100 years in magic. But when it got to the fashion world, they're like, well, we're not going to hide what we're doing. We're going to show it because it looks so cool. I loved that. And I've had a lot of experience now revealing magic secrets because I see it as a very cool, engaging way to bring viewers into what I love, which is magic tricks. So I had my wife, she was wearing this special dress that actually folds into 3 different dresses. And in just 17 seconds, we see the dress transform 3 times, and people watch that more than once. Boom, 1 billion views. So if you can create that piece of content that people not just have to watch, but watch more than once, then you end up with, whether you like it or not, it's getting crazy views.
Interesting. So your main form of monetization, how you get paid really is a combination of sponsored posts and AdSense equivalent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're an AdSense guy.
Yes. So 99% of my money has come from in-stream ads on Facebook or AdSense on YouTube or the Creator Fund on TikTok. All of it is ad-based. And then now it's a growing percent, but we're starting to work on brand deals. And that's where I have to figure out how to do the same thing I've done for myself with watch time, but for a product. And it's a challenge. So this Madam Web, this is a new Marvel movie coming out, and her superpower is to have visions of the future. And they said, we have no idea how to communicate this thing. What do you think? And I said, well, it's kind of would be cool if we could make her into a fortune teller, like that old cool school, like Zoltar thing. And if I were to go into a movie theater and paint this thing, and then you'd push a button and the movie poster would suddenly look like a fortune teller and spit out your fortune, and it would say, I see that you're hungry and I see popcorn in your future, or something like that. The studio really liked it. So we're at midnight tonight when the movie theater shuts down, we're going to go paint a giant fortune teller booth on a poster in a movie theater. But what that was is going back and forth to try and figure out what is the most engaging way to hook people to hear about a thing. And but brand deals, I think, is going to be the future because, so here's a secret thing. I'll tell you a secret thing. TikTok did a test a couple months ago. They didn't tell any of the creators about this, but what the test was we're going to take our top creators and we are not going to put them on the For You page for a month. We're going to take all the people who are costing us the most money. We're paying these people the most money, the Lele Pawns, the King Batches, the people like that, Logan Paul. We're not going to put them on the For You page, and we're not going to tell them about it. Let's see what happens to our profits. And TikTok saw no change. What I mean is whether the people that they're paying high amounts of money were on the For You page, or whether it was some mom in Idaho who's just shooting something and putting it up on TikTok for fun, it made no difference to their bottom line. Well, that's bad news for a creator, because what TikTok saw and other social media platforms have learned from this is, there's a lot of people out there willing to do this for free. And it doesn't change whether it didn't change the viewers' habits on TikTok to not see all of those top creators on the news feed. So we've been flooded with a whole bunch of competition on every social media platform with everyone can do it. And it's really fun to do it. And the platforms have made it so easy to do it for no money. So guys like you or me who have this as our job and we need to be paid for it are now competing with a mom in Idaho who's just filming her son opening a birthday gift for fun. And so to deal with that, I need to be able to diversify the way that money streams are coming in and not rely only on the platforms to pay me. And instead, and this is the nice thing, because I know how to get eyeballs, I can always get eyeballs. I just need to be able to pay for that in a different way. So brand deals may be the future for all of this.
Yeah, or doing commercials as a service. So not using
Right.
your actual reach or platform from a brand sponsorship
Right.
standpoint, but actually as a service. Because like my mind literally goes, how can I get Justin to create the craziest ad that we can run paid advertising to? Like that's where my mind immediately
Right.
goes. Like I know you'd come up with something cool. I know you'd grab their attention. I know you would. You didn't fully convince me, if I'm being honest, how you would sell the click.
Yes, 100%. And that's because, like, so I'm an entertainer mostly, and you're 100% right. That's the challenge as I'm talking about any brand deal. So here's a big failure of mine. I did a vitamin company commercial, and we wrote this cool commercial with me as a magician, and what's the secret to my magic? And it was this vitamin thing. Now, first of all, Vitamin Company was awesome, and what they had was a very good product. Also, at the same time, I was doing all of these magic tricks on the internet that looked like fake science. So we would frame a magic trick as a science experiment, and it would do a thing, but it was not science. It was just silly magic tricks. And those two things at the same time were terrible because you couldn't differentiate if the vitamin company was real or if it was bullshit, what a magic trick or whatever else. And to be able to, yes, it is a huge challenge to figure out how to get that actual click. So my expertise is casting a wide net for the most people. What I need to get better at, and what we have a team of people looking at, is, all right, now how do you speak just to a core group of people? Because the platforms are great at finding the people who want to see that thing.
And how do you look? Clearly, you work it out. How do you think you're going to do that? Like to drive that CTA? How do you think the best way is to do it?
The platforms right now are focused on a niche. What was really fun in 2020 and 2021, specifically on Facebook, was you could do a car mechanic video from your page one day, and the next day you could do a painting video, and the next day you could do a cooking video, and the next day a parenting hack. And the platform didn't care. If the content was good, it would go. But now they've started to reward return viewers, which means that they're going to show it to a group of people, and they want that group of people to come back again and again. So they're going to show them the next piece of content first before they show it to anyone else. And that means that if they watched a car mechanic video, the people who completed the video were car mechanic guys watching that video. When you do the next day and it's a casserole dish cooking thing, they're out and it kills your content. So it's become more important now. This is specific to Facebook, but I do see it on TikTok as well, less on YouTube, that they're sending it to return viewers. So it becomes more important to have a niche. Or if you want to be able to be spread out and do lots of different things, then you better have a page for cooking, and you better have another page for this or a page for that, because the platforms value return viewers right now. That could change at any time. They lots of algo shifts constantly, but that seems to be a thing which is good for brands because it will happen automatically. You don't have to put a lot of effort in, just by metric of sticking with your message, and you'll build that core group of followers.
So you've been pretty transparent, Justin, around the mechanics of your business. Can you talk us through what do you feel comfortable sharing around numbers, around like you as a creator, how much you've made? I know you've done some YouTube videos around how much one video made. Can you talk us through like annual income from? So
we're in the multi-millions, which is really exciting. It's really crazy. Our big year, I think Facebook in the last couple of years is at a gross total of like $9 million or something like that. Facebook is where there's giant money because the watch time can be so much longer because they're long form videos in a swipe feed. So again, the key is YouTube is not a swipe feed. That is a homepage where you're clicking a video that you want to see. YouTube Shorts, that's a swipe feed, all based off of watch time and catching people's attention. Facebook is different. That's a swipe feed of long form videos, meaning you can get that YouTube money based off of how long someone's watching long form, but in a swipe feed algorithm where you don't need to build an audience, you can capture their attention and go viral, even if you have only 10,000 followers on your page. So Facebook gave us the most money. YouTube, I have the most views, but it's a little bit depressing. I think I'm at like $400,000 over the last year on YouTube, and that's with 1 billion views a month. So to put that in perspective, 1 billion views on Facebook back when it was really good a couple years ago, 1 billion views on Facebook is $1 million if it's a high CPM and it's based in the US as far as a viewer. But now 1 billion views on YouTube is 30 grand. So big difference, huge difference. Now remember, when I'm saying YouTube, I'm saying YouTube Shorts, because I haven't cracked the long form game, because that's a totally different thing. I'm doing little short commercials, all 60-second things on YouTube, and I'm very successful at it. My YouTube Shorts page is constantly in the top 10 of Tube Filter, but the money that's over there isn't even close to what can be made via long form. And I haven't cracked long form on YouTube, only on Facebook.
And what about TikTok?
So TikTok is like, so I treat TikTok like a rights manager. What I mean is my videos are going to be stolen and put on TikTok anyway. So I got to put them up there first because someone else is going to steal them and put them up there. I don't want to because the money's not great. But luckily, there's not a lot of cross-pollination between these platforms, meaning the people who are watching me on TikTok, they're not watching me on YouTube. The people who are watching me on Facebook are not watching on TikTok. The TikTok money is trash. That's fine. There's eyeballs there, and I want to build that audience because the money went up a little bit with the new beta program where videos are over 1 minute. But there's a lot of problems there too, because now they won't push a video if it's shorter than a minute. That limits the freedom of what you can post. And their algorithm, you can get flagged and you don't know it. You don't know if you did something wrong. I've lost my TikTok more than once. I've been always lucky enough to get it back, but it's always been based off of a mistake. One time I lost my TikTok because my birthday was wrong and they thought I was a minor. And I'm going, well, just look at my page. I don't know what you're talking about. And another time I was showing an antique toy and TikTok suspended my account because I had an antique toy where you'd push a button and a little tiny figurine would come up and hand you a cigarette. So it was an antique thing. I shouldn't call it a toy because it was handing out cigarettes. But who knows what was happening back in the 30s whenever this thing was built. I thought it was a cool thing to show on TikTok. And they immediately took away my account just for having even a cigarette in frame. It was wild.
Yeah, crazy. So, all right. So we've really broken down the business model. So as a creator, super successful. You're basically the master of short form, or one of a serious master of short form. So then I guess the next question I have to ask is like volume of content. Like how much content are you putting out? How does that look? Because you're spending so much time. If you could even give us a ratio of like, how much time do you spend thinking? I know that's something that Mr. Beast talks about versus actually creating. And you know, it sounds like you have a team now, you said of 9 people. So you're kind of, reinvesting that 9 million, 10, 15, however much you've made in the past few years back into a team. So you can put out more content because it is a business now. Tell me, how do you structure it? How should people, because for founders watching this, they don't have that much time to just focus because that's not the business, but they do need to spend time on creating content. And of that, they need to be spending time thinking about what that content is and then actually creating it.
We look at our social media content in terms of buckets. So painting is a bucket, and then prank is a bucket. Trapdoor has become a bucket. And what we mean is, if we can crack a concept and know how to film it so that, all right, this is something that's really working, then we can milk it and do it until it doesn't work anymore. So Trapdoor is something that all right, we created it. There's a $5,000 build. We have it now, and we can continue. So just before this interview, and it's why I'm wearing a suit, I filmed a bit where I fall through the trapdoor and land in my office at my desk. Like I've got a Batman little cave thing that drops me right into my office. Cool bit. And so what we did is first we go, what's an interesting thing that we could do a lot of? So we don't just want to create a one-off concept because the investment is really difficult there. It's one of the things that keeps me out of YouTube long form. I see Mr. Beast drop so much money in a long form video and you only get one shot at that. For me, I go, man, okay, I'm going to invest $5,000 into one crazy build, and then I want to be able to film it 20 different ways and post all of them. And that gives me more chance to make my money back, more chance to make my time investment back. And then when you crack one, maybe it'll go on for a couple of years. So this stencil painting that I've been doing, I cracked that back in 2021. I didn't expect it to be a thing. I created a concept on the way I would film these paintings, and it worked. And it actually worked really well, but I didn't even pay attention to it. I forgot about it, and I was going on my way with pranks and cooking videos, whatever else. And then I finally thought, hey, that Muhammad Ali painting did, 50 million views? Let me try it again with Michael Jordan. That one did 100 million views. What is going on here? And so I should have been better to pay attention to what was happening because I would have gotten on it even sooner. But now we know that we've got that bucket where we can pretty easily tackle any subject and go off. So your question, how much time do you spend writing the content versus creating the content? For me, it's about 50-50. In fact, as we're filming, we're usually trying to create the next idea. So we have a lot of juggling going on. So right now we're working on a laser maze to go upstairs. We want the chandelier to fall behind me. We've got the new rule in my house is no normal doors. So we're putting in a Monsters, Inc. door upstairs, a Wizard of Oz door, the Bill and Ted Excellent Adventure phone booth is going to be a secret door upstairs. So we found secret doors works, kind of like a bucket, and we go, great. What's all the doors that we can do, and let's do all of them. And we try to keep the cost below $5,000 for the video because I do see, okay, I think I can make $5,000 back even if I struggle, I can get it back. If it goes really well, then we can make 6 figures on the video. And so we come up with that concept, milk it as many different ways as possible, and then figure out every different way to do it. Does that kind of make sense?
It does. So at this point in time now, how many videos do you think you put out a month versus early days when it was just you?
So I've stayed pretty consistent at a video a day. Now, Facebook, and if Facebook and Meta are listening, I don't mean to offend you, but they are a mess right now. I am just so demoralized over on Facebook because the UI is terrible. Their help is terrible. So I even forget to post my stuff over on Facebook. But when I was making the most money over there, it was just a daily post, making sure I'm getting some new piece of content up every day. On YouTube Shorts, I am seeing very good reach by just every day putting up a YouTube short. In my biggest months, I was doing multiple a day. And so I don't see any reach hurt from doing multiples. But consistently a video a day, the reason the team has grown and the reason the time investment has grown is because the investment requirement is higher for videos now. What I mean is in 2020, I was able to get 100 million views off of a banana dipped in floss or dipped in mouthwash doing a magic trick. And that's zero investment from me. I filmed it in one take, boom, 100 million views, also like $100,000. That's totally wild. But now I can knock a hole in my wall. I can put in a tunnel of doors and I can do this really crazy cool build. And that might only get on Facebook long form 5 million views. What's worse is the CPM has gone so far down on Facebook currently that made me $500. That's absolutely terrible. So the investment for videos has gotten higher, and the payout has gotten lower. So now the goal is, okay, we've got to get the most eyeballs on this possible, and then we got to leverage those eyeballs for something else. Now we're developing some products for the consumer based off of the paint stuff that I've been doing. So partnering with some cool people, big department stores for that. That will be a way to leverage eyeballs. We're working on an iPhone game, a little video game thing. That's another way to leverage eyeballs. Just ways to take what they've already seen and like in the content and then move them towards ways that they could do it. So it's the old model of magicians back in the day when they would do their magic on television and they'd go, hey, by the way, you can do it too. Buy this little magic kit. So it's the modern day equivalent of that, but not just magic, any of the stuff that we're doing. I'd love to give people a kit to be able to make their own trapdoor.
That's cool. That's really clever. Okay. Well, look, we have to work towards wrapping up. This has been a fascinating conversation, Justin. I speak to a lot of different founders, but this was really interesting to hear how somebody's gone from mainstream TV and live performances as a magician to now really dominating the online world and short form. And I've learned a ton myself. So we're going to move to the hot seat round.
Go love it. Yes.
Okay. What's your favorite type of audience reaction?
Oh, great question. Favorite type of audience reaction is silence. When I would do magic at parties in Hollywood, you never know who was going to show up. And this is a good story for preparation, okay? I heard that the guy who was throwing this party, who was a big guy in Bollywood, I heard that he was friends with 50 Cent, Kim Kardashian, and Jennifer Aniston. So I did secret preparation for this magic trick for those three celebrities. And 50 Cent walked into the party. It was absolutely crazy. It was like this Bollywood-themed party. Everyone there was from India except me. I was the only American-looking guy there. And then 50 Cent walks in with his crew. Here was the trick that I had prepped. If I could get one of his dollar bills, then I can act, and he were to give it to me. Well, basically, he comes in, I break into his crew, and I take my own money, I flash it in front of him, and I've got a bunch of $1 bills. I slap them on my hand, and they turn into a stack of $100. It's a cool trick. And he took the bait perfectly. He grabs my wrist, and he goes, yo, do that with my money. And I'm like, perfect. Get out one of your $1 bills or what? Show me what cash you got. Now, I don't know where Fiddy was coming from, okay? But he brought out a wad of singles like I'd never seen before. It was crazy. But, that's Hollywood. So he gives me one of his singles, and I say, take a look at the treasurer's signature. So on American bills, there's a little signature part next to the date, and it's whoever the elected treasurer is at that point. And he looks at it, and I say, watch this. And I pass my hand over it, and it changes into his signature. Doesn't just say 50 Cent, it says Curtis Jackson, his real name. Now, his crew blew up. Oh, and they're running around and all this. But what I loved was 50's reaction, which was just stunned silence. And after like 30 seconds of just staring at his money with his name, and he's rubbing it, it's got ink, and it's there on his bill. He just looks up at me. He's like, who are you? Like, from his context, he didn't tell anyone he was going to be at the party. Nobody told me that he was going to be there. But what it was very secret preparation. I'm pretty good at counterfeiting dollar bills. Don't tell the U.S. government. I do it only for magic tricks, not for evil. And if you can get a dollar bill, it's actually fabric. It's not paper. And there's ways to modify it secretly. And I ended up with, I at home get 50 Cent's signature on one of my dollar bills. Then all I have to do is switch out his money for my money. And that's a hard thing to do because it's Fiddy said he's probably wearing a bulletproof vest and he's got a crew around him, so you can either load his pocket or you can get him to give you money and then you can misdirect and switch it then. That's not the best method because that puts a lot of pressure on that moment. And then what happens is when they remember back, they go, I don't know, you distracted me while you were holding my money. So it's a lot better if I can get him to touch the money and hold the money and I never have to touch it. But if I do all of that secret preparation, and again, I was prepped with Jen Aniston and Kim Kardashian as well. They did not show up. Fiddy got the trick. That's my favorite reaction to magic.
That's cool. That's a great one. Great share. What's been the hardest business lesson to learn?
I lost $500,000 trying to do a magic show in Missouri here in the United States. There's a little showbiz town in Missouri, which is right in the middle of the country, and there's 150 shows in this town. Too many shows. There's like 80 theaters, and we're talking full-fledged box office, theater seats, curtain, fly rig, all of that. So it's this little like Broadway, but in the middle of the country, and it's very redneck, and I mean that in an endearing way. And it's a very sweet little town, and the middle of the country loves to drive there and see these shows. So I started my show there. I tried running it for 5 years, but with that competition, it was so high, I wasn't able to focus on my strength. Suddenly, I had to do payroll and concessions, and I was stocking a gift shop. And I was stocking a gift shop with like scented candles and stuff because that's what people were buying. So I didn't get to do anything I was good at, which was doing an entertaining show. All of my time was going towards all of these other things to keep a business running. And we just slowly sunk into a hole of losing money until finally it was about $500,000 in and we went, okay, we got to call this thing. I can't do this anymore. The benefit of it was it cured me of ever wanting my own show in Las Vegas. So now I live in Las Vegas with zero desire to ever go to the Strip and perform because I understand what that ticket selling game is, and I don't want to take that sort of risk. It's a really hard risk to take. The other thing it taught me is focus on your strength. If you are the one, if it's not your strength to work on payroll, hire it out. Holy buckets, you got to hire it out. And if there's not enough margin to do it, then you're not in a good business model. So you got to be able to do the one thing that you're better at than anybody else, and then hire people who are better than you for every other job.
Yeah, agree. A couple last questions. One, if you could have dinner with any entrepreneur, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Elon Musk. I think that just would be fascinating. Entrepreneur. There's also, this one will be controversial. Rush Limbaugh. He's the conservative provocateur. He was such an amazing broadcaster that it would be so interesting to see how he would look at social media today. Now, he did radio, but what he was so good at is he would win watch time if he was on social media, because the way he did his radio show is he would immediately open up and he would say, all right, we've got an audio clip of this crazy thing that everybody wants to hear, whatever it was. He would say whatever the provocative thing was. And he would tease it at the start of the hour. And then he would talk about it. And then he would say, all right, cue up the audio clip. Here we go. We're going to play it right now. But first, let me take a caller to see if they have a question about it or to talk about it. I just looked at the time. We got to take a commercial. But first thing when we get back, we're going to talk about this clip. And he did it in a way that wasn't cringy. It was so engaging that even people on the left would listen in and be thoroughly engaged on it. And of course, people on the right loved him. But it would be an interesting conversation just because of how he was as a broadcaster. And we live in the attention economy today. So I want to know what an old radio guy would do if they were to look at just the social media world and capturing that attention and making people tune in for longer.
That's a great one. What are you excited for next?
What am I excited for next? I'm excited to see the payment structure change for Facebook. They're going to try out this new payment thing where instead of paying out on where people are watching from and the type of viewer that's watching the video, they're going to pay out for views. So it'll either be way less money or it will be an interesting growth because they're putting focus on volume. So I'm most excited for what Facebook does, and I'm excited to see who wins the short war. So we're kind of in a short war right now in terms of YouTube Shorts, TikTok, even Snapchat's in on there, and Facebook Reels. And so we seem to have realized, okay, the viewer wants to spend a substantial amount of their time swiping short content. And that's just where the viewer is at today. What platform is going to pay the most for the creator, and what platform is going to have the most eyeballs? And I don't think we're close to the end of it right now. I hope YouTube gets it. I like what they're doing, but I don't think we know where it's going to go. Also, Instagram's in there, but I don't know who's making money on Instagram. I've been promised monetization on Instagram for 4 years. Haven't seen it. So Instagram's great, but if there's no money over there, then we got to figure out which platform wins.
Yeah. And then also I had to ask you, do you create the same content for different platforms and then just replicate it across? Does that work in formats, or you find that you've got to do something different for each platform?
Because I'm concentrated on the swipe for watch time, I can create the same piece of content. I can utilize it on Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts. Those are my three main ones. What I do is I'll film something, I'll drop it into editing, and I will edit as long as I can. I will get as long as I can out of that video, maybe 4 minutes. That goes to Facebook. Then I take that piece of content and I cut the fat. I say, all right, let's take out everything that's unnecessary and make it the most enjoyable watching experience possible. Now, this works out for TikTok. So it starts as 4 minutes for Facebook, which is good. Facebook's audience is a little bit older. They like that slower pacing. They can take that amount of time in a video. Good. That's what the algorithm likes over there. TikTok, they're a little more impatient. So they can take a 2-minute video quite easily. I had the number 2 most viewed TikTok of last year. I painted Iron Man on my ceiling. That was like a 2-minute, 30-second video. So that's quite good. So 4-minute video down to 2 minutes or so for TikTok. And then I take that and I absolutely butcher it as much as possible down to 60 seconds. And that's a big challenge, but that goes to YouTube Shorts. And by the time I've spent that much time with a piece of content, I've watched it 1,000 times. I can start to really shave off seconds all the way down until now I've got a 60-second piece of content, which is my favorite to watch. And now that goes to YouTube. And then really the job that I've just hired a person for this week is to say, okay, now go through the catalog again and do that process again, different from me. We've got 1,000 videos, long form, and there are a lot of different ways that 60 seconds can be cut out of those. Just start trying them out and we'll see what happens there, because I don't see a consequence to putting up multiple edits of something on YouTube or on TikTok. So it gives you more chances to try, and really the most engaging part of a piece of content might not be at the beginning that you thought. It might be somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, love it. All right. Well, we will wrap there, but I have one last question. Can you do a magic trick for us?
Oh, man. So it's so challenging. Okay, let's see. This is terrible because this has become a very strange thing now that I don't do magic tricks. Okay, I wonder how wired I am if I can do something that's not quite a magic trick, but okay, let's see what we can do. I don't want to lose audio here. Okay. I know what I'll do. This will be good. It's like a magic trick. Can you still hear me okay? Yes. I'm not going to be able to hear you, but I'm going to show you my favorite part of my house. And in order to do that, I'm going to untangle myself from these wires. So this is my house. My house has a stage. neon lights. It's very crazy. Sometime I'll have to show you all of the secret passageways and stuff. But for right now, I'm going to take 20 seconds. I'm going to walk upstairs and I'm going to come back down in a more interesting way. And it's like a magic trick. So stand by and count backwards from 10 or 20 right now. It's the quickest way to get downstairs, and it's the silliest thing that I have ever created for that. So there you are.
Oh, that was awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
So silly. It's a very silly job that I have.
That was awesome. Well, look, I was just saying, congratulations on all of your success, and really excited to see how far you can take this. And yeah, thank you so much for your time. Would be great to connect further next time I'm in Vegas, or if you ever find yourself in Melbourne, Australia.
I love Melbourne, Australia. Australia, the people were so nice. Absolutely hope to get out there. And yes, hit me up in Vegas. And thank you for your curiosity. This has been a lot of fun.
Hey guys, if you love this episode, make sure to check out this interview with Scooter Braun on how he identifies talent that could go on to find wild success like Justin Bieber and Ariana Grande.
Justin Bieber was the most talented, gifted kid I'd ever met. It was so insane how great of a singer he was, how soulful he was. What he could do on the drums naturally, taught himself with guitar and drums. Like, he was a phenomenon. And we met at the perfect time in both of our lives.